So 6 years after the previous album, where Shadows Forever Reign. So what did you take so many years?
Well, I think it was 6 or 7 years for the previous album again. So this is, I guess, normal standard procedure with this band. Now the thing is that we haven't been lazy. We haven't been dragging anything out really. When we did the Were Shadows album, we did a lot of touring. So we've been to every continent basically and played it. And we haven't really had. I think we started with the first ideas for this album. We started like actually 4 years ago, which means 2 years after the release of the previous one. But then again, touring has been coming in between, and we haven't really had the peace and calm to sit down and actually start writing until the pandemic kind of helped in a way. So yeah, I think that's the only reason we haven't been dragging anything. It's just we haven't felt it. We haven't felt inspired enough, and it came when it came. And I think that's the way to make an album, not to be pushed or whipped by record labels or anything else. So this is on our own terms.
So you recorded at Fred Tornendal studio in Sweden. Of course, we know him for his incredible solos for Meshuggah. What a sound! And it's really powerful and really a warmer sound, I would say. Do you agree?
Well, yes. We used Fredrik's studio, yes, but we were mainly recording and produced by Daniel Bergstrand. Fredrik was also there all the time, doing some recordings, but the majority of the job was done by Daniel. Same as on the previous album, actually. He did Where Shadows Forever Reign too. I think it's sound-wise, it's a continuation of that. I think it's very unprocessed sound. The big job was done in actually putting the microphones on the drums. There's not a lot of drum replacement. There's not a lot of sampling because everything sounds really, really good from the start. So I think that gives it kind of an organic touch. Next step from the Were Shadows album, which also was very organic compared to the previous ones with way more compression, loudness war kind of style. So yeah, I think it's a progress. I don't think nothing has really been changed. It's just you learn things along the way and you improve. I really love how the sound is so open. You can hear everything. It's like you're standing in a room. It's like a live feeling almost.
And especially on the drums, the drums are the sound of the drums is something very unusual, I would say, in the black metal scene, which is sometimes most of the time cold sound,
Yeah, I mean, most bands replace half the drum kit, with pre-recorded sound samples and shit. We try to avoid that. So what you hear is basically the actual drums being played by an actual drummer, which is kind of cool.
The real drums.
Yeah, the real drums. Yes. And of course, I've seen some comments like the drums don't sound natural. The thing is that they do. They are the natural sound. What you think is the natural is usually enhanced by technology. This is how a real drum kit sounds when you mic it properly.
And what about your vocals? This is your second album for Black Funnel. How was this? How was the experience this time?
Well, in the studio I don't know. I'm quite used to studio environments. I've been in bands before Dark Funeral too. I have Gra on the side, and I had Curse 13, Doomgarden. So for me, I always like it. When I come prepared to a studio session and what I come in with, I already like it so much. And then with a good producer like Daniel, like these mini details that are even enhanced further by a good sound, by good input from him. Yeah, but if you push this word like 1/4, you will have a different dynamic which matches. It's like these mini details. That is something that I haven't been doing so much, working with good producers, and to realize what a difference it makes to have external input sometimes. not to change the music, not at all, but to improve and find those little details that you become home blind. And so that was really cool. And I tried some new vocal techniques also on this album, which was frightening, but in the end it gave a lot of good results. I think it will be very interesting to bring all this live.
Which technique did you use?
I think the thing that stands out the most is like the first verse of Nosferatu, for example, with this more shouting than screaming style. The spoken parts we had on the last album too, but this more, I don't know what to compare it with even.
So the musically, I feel, it's better produced, but it's better written, I would say. I would say it's, I know it's cliche, but it's more diversified album with more acoustic guitars. And I've read that Lord, he wrote, he has written most of his riffs on the acoustic guitar, right?
Well, yes, I think it's a bit more diverse album because I think we had the time to just sit down and make perfect. I know that when he's home jamming, like just playing with his guitar, he doesn't have any amplifier, or he's just playing on it to hear the notes, not to be like, I don't know, tricked by distortion,
Mm-hmm.
Because if you like take a chord, it sounds fat with distortion, but does it sound fat without, So that is how he's usually building his melodies. He's playing the guitar without any effects, without distortion, without amplification, and listen to the actual guitar to find it. I think it's a pretty cool way to do it, actually, and it seems to work out really well. And something that we actually introduced in this album are just, as you mentioned, those mini acoustic parts. That's new for Dark Funeral.
So what about the topics? And you were talking about the song Nosferatu. It seems that you were inspired by the real movie, the first one from Murnau, from the German director. And you know that it was released it was released this year, 100 years ago.
Yes, I know. It was in the pandemic. I was in a lockdown, and of course, everyone has time to watch movies. So I got into this idea to watch Dracula-themed movies to see how has this story been treated throughout the decades, really. So I started, of course, with Nosferatu, the first one, and it was so fucking good, and it's so dark, and it's just perfect. I mean, it's all this simplicity of the technology 100 years ago. It hasn't been done better since. So I watched some films from the 30s, from the 60s, 70s, and even the Bram Stoker's Dracula from early 90s. Yeah, with Winona Ryder and those Keanu and those guys.
Which is a good one.
I didn't think it held up because I had Nosferatu in the back of my head. Every time I saw something new, it's like, no, this is just a bad imitation. This is just, and that movie is very romantic. Mm. It's like this very gothic vampire love story. And then you have this Nosferatu in the back of your head that is like the pure darkness, There is something more pure in it, like straight from hell feeling than this romanticized version of it. And actually, the second best movie that I saw from this theme was the Netflix one that came out a couple of years ago. It was like a mini series or something.
Okay, I don't know this.
It was taken into our century a little bit. Context was a bit changed, but they actually did something new with it, and I liked that one. I actually did. But anyway, this song, when I was doing this, I had some riffs sent to me by Arman, and it's like, yeah, maybe I think I have an idea here. It kind of, the music matched my vision there, so that was an easy song to write in a way, because I already had I had the ideas in my head. So it became like a tribute to this very old style horror film. I mean, bring back the evil to vampires,
Okay, so it's more based upon the movie than the book, which is really, really great. It's
it is. Yes. It's a very good book too. Yes. But no, it's more based on what would you say, the myths maybe, surrounding, and Nosferatu, not Bram Stoker's Dracula per se, but more like vampire legends. Well, if you're going to Romania, you will probably hear some of them. So you know, that kind of thing, more than Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is, of course, British fiction.
And what beautiful things in your video clips, especially on the song "Let the Devil In." It's I was in my mind, you know, and you shot this video clip in the wonderful town in Poland, in Wrocław, that I know too. It's a wonderful town, and it seems like it's like a set from Septic Flesh, you know, the aesthetic of the specific set, you know. He has a trademark, you know, and when you see the guy with the mask and with the blood, and it's like was in my mind the set artwork, you know.
Okay. Well, I haven't thought about that, but now when you mention it, yeah, sure. I mean, it makes sense. We were filming with this Polish gang, Grupa 13, and that video was filmed in it was an old brewery, I think it was, an old abandoned brewery. So all these scenes with the bushes and stuff, they were in an actual old beer tank.
Okay.
So there's not much CGI going on. It's actually, they actually build these places. So that was kind of cool, actually. But yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, but Seth is doing great things for Septic Flesh. I mean, and he's a super awesome guy too. We're friends, so yeah, absolutely. Now maybe the Grupa guys are inspired by that. I don't know, but good shit is good shit. And
what about a tour? I've read, and I really want to go there to Sweden, to your show with my friends from Samael.
Yeah.
And so it will be in April, right?
Yes, April 16 is in the middle of Easter. So what better way to give Easter a good meaning, you know?
So yeah, it will be your first show from when was your last show?
Actually, we played in Switzerland last year, one show in I don't remember the town, Black Hole Fest. That was actually the only Dark Funeral show I did last year. So this will be the first one in a long time. So and we're releasing the new album. We're putting all the money that we have on explosions, on pyro, and just to burn the fucking place to the ground, basically. It will also be live streamed, so you can watch even if you cannot attend in person. And of course, yes, we invited Samuel also, and they were happy to come, and that's fantastic. Super nice guys, friends of ours, and it's a fantastic live band. So we're really lucky to have them, I think.
And then after, something in the plans to have a proper world tour?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Actual touring is difficult, to say the least. I mean, the concerts that we have this year that we have confirmed are usually, they're like mostly festivals being postponed since 2 years. And I think most bands are doing that right now, just ticking off those old shows that they should have done a long time ago. And of course, as the world is opening up, I mean, the metal scene is not the only music scene, you know? So of course, venues are being overcrowded with offers now. So I think everyone and their aunts will be touring this year. We are starting to look into it for the autumn, basically. I mean, after the festivals that we have. So yeah, we have plans, but nothing that is really confirmed yet. But yes, of course, we aim to tour the whole world again, of course.
Yeah, and I've read it's really, really difficult for bands. I've read that a lot of bands, they are waiting for European festivals to be paid in order to rent a tour bus. And and it's really difficult for musicians. And what's the best way to help you?
Yeah, I mean, these 2 years have been challenging, to say the least. We were quite lucky in a way because we didn't have tours coming up. We were actually entering album recording mode. So we had these scattered festivals, scattered shows. But I know a lot of bands have been I mean, they had tour merch printed, maybe hundreds of t-shirts, maybe even thousands of items in total, with dates printed on them, and everything just went to shit. So I've seen a lot of tour merch sales, and it's just basically just to break even. The best thing as a fan that you can do is to support your artist by buying stuff. If you can buy it straight from the band, the better, you know. Because the labels always have distribution, they sell their way. But if you can buy something straight from the artist, that is actually going to the artist's pocket. It's not being split by 3 or 4 other guys. So that is the absolutely best thing you can do.
What will be in your mind just before entering the stage for this next show? And would it be special after 1 year without concert? And do you feel some kind of pressure? Or
well, last year I had a little club show with my other band Gra in Stockholm. So I got to taste the stage for a bit for the first time since, I don't know, a year and a half or something. And then like a month after, we had that Dark Funeral show in Switzerland. So I knew what to expect from this absence. So I told the guy, give it a couple of songs, you'll get into it, because it's, of course you're rusty. What the fuck? It doesn't matter how much you rehearse in the rehearsal place. It's not the same. It's not the same thing. So, I mean, it's like an extreme pleasure, but at the same time, you have to shake off the rust. You have to it's like you're having cold fingers, you know? It takes a little while. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we can do some pre-production shows, maybe even before we do that big fat live streamed thing. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Once you're up there, everything just is like riding a bike, I guess. And now we have some new songs also to bring into the sets, which is really, really cool. Looking forward to that.